a couple of months, we can get very impressive AI renders, just like Midjourney. They are looking just for AI designers. They want the very professional ones in making AI images like on Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. They want these people to come to the company. We will not need any of our CG artists because they want to integrate these technologies. The number of architects will be really reduced.
You would have a change in architects' role. Maybe architects don't operate the same way and they operate more efficiently without so many people working for them.
We have to believe that we are lucky enough to be in this time. If it was later, we will not be lucky enough to get integrated into it. Let all the students just learn it, but be careful to be authentic. Never go and just start copying or be lazy.
What do you think about architectural problem solving and AI? How do you think these people will operate in the future? What kind of opportunities will open for them? And those people who are working on non-creative tasks and mundane, they would have to go and find something else to do.
Embrace this technology. Take it as an assistant for you. Take the advantage of it. Time saving, expanding imagination. All these ones, it's now in our hands.
Hello and welcome to another episode of AI Hub Podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Today we have another amazing guest with us, Alya, who is joining us from Turkey. She's an amazing designer, architect, and she's going to introduce herself. Because I'm not going to do the justice introducing her, but it's great to have her in the pod. We have a lot to discuss with her, and her work is so inspiring, and she's been doing a lot with AI. So I'm looking forward to dive deep into this conversation. So hi, Alya, how are you?
Hi, Amir. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me with AI Hub for this amazing podcast with you. And I really wish you all luck. I will do a small introduction. I'm Alya. I'm Syrian architectural designer in Istanbul. I have 9 years of experience, mostly actually in BIM coordination and for architectural design for the GCC countries. And it's all about building projects and delivering it and dealing with the clients and coordination. So, AI become from 1 year, let me say 2022 until now, just like a very escape for us from the built world toward some kind of imaginative world away from the all the issues we deal with architecture. I have been working in multinational companies, firms, and lately now with the Tabanli Ola Architects. It's an award-winning firm. And now we have been dealing for some of the projects in Qatar, for the headquarters of the QNB Bank and, some FIFA projects before. And now, but this is, let me say in my professional life, I have a master's degree on contemporary architecture theories from Gazi University. And I have studied the Pritzker Prize winners and how it is meaning for them in architecture, which actually opened my eyes toward what really these super architects like Zaha Hadid or like Rim Koolhaas or like Shigeru Ban, what really the philosophy they follow in architecture, away from seeing a very nice building, what they actually, their attitude. And this really was very useful for me to know what to use in my prompts for AI creations.
That's really fascinating because to me, it sounds like a lot of people who are using AI, especially unfortunately with some designers, I feel like they feel that with AI, they become magician. Like they turn objects into buildings. It's cool. Like, yes, it's possible. And it's really cool to see, things turn into, like, objects turn into buildings. Yes, of course. But like, what is the purpose? And is that architecture? And it's definitely not, because there is a lot in architecture, like there is a lot in experience, spaces, understanding, the kind of experience which the user goes through in the hierarchy of the spaces, and also the kind of philosophy and narrative behind that building. Because in the university, I remember one of the major topics that was bold in our studies was a narrative, and how we were basically designing a project as an architect versus like probably a builder or something. Because as an architect, I think your key difference with other people who are designing building is that you kind of come from a background that you've learned to look at things in different perspectives, and you consider other things, stories, culture, and the context and all of that, and you consider all of that in your design until you reach a point that you can design a building. Versus some developers, maybe they're not really considering these aspects when they're just trying to capitalize on the land and property. And that has been, in my opinion, that has been a missing point in people who are working with AI. How have you navigated this issue?
I totally agree with you for all the points you have mentioned. Lately there was like a kind of some AI tools which is converting, let me say, crumb paper into a building. I was afraid of that because I don't want to see this building, I don't want to see a kind of an object that is, or sometimes like a kind of a fish, or I don't know, they turn it into a building. This is not architecture. This can be turned into an artwork for, a Canva. But building is totally something different. I mean, like, as you mentioned, that we have to see the context. I mean, what people want to see and to feel and experience in this one, what also the client wants, because we really face this issue a lot. I mean, when building a building, let me say, and about the culture and about the climate, we have so many, and of course the functional aspect, we have so many things before coming to draw to create something that is nice. So all this process, these architects, star architects, they have been dealing with all these differently. Now when we come to AI, I try actually sometimes to see how AI is also dealing with this. In AI, what we see now is really an image. But for me, every project I publish, it's about I feel really the experience, what I want people to feel inside this. For example, let me say a house in Santorini. I feel myself that is going there, what I would like to see, where to wake up, where to then, for example, have the sunset or something like this. It's not about creating images more than creating experience for people. And AI is really helping with this tool because it's an escape from the built world, as I mentioned. Sometimes we have so many, let me say, considerations with the budget and with something, with the coordination, and we can't, our vision as an architect, or let me say as a designer, the vision that we have at the very beginning of the project, it cannot be achieved at the end. So we are still lacked, our imagination is limited. But now with AI, we can just, let all the borders expand it and like exercise our imagination. This is what is helpful at the very first beginning with AI, and what makes an AI designer is really strong. We are now being introduced to these new methodologies. Let me say, 1 year ago we had not this term AI designer, but now someone can define him or herself as an AI designer. You know.
Yes, because even I've seen people, non-architects, designing buildings, and they get clients really liking their projects, and they basically get architecture projects, and they hire architects to build the buildings that they designed by AI. So we are living in a world where you don't really need to be an architect to design building in a way. It's a bit scary. I mean, previously, we used to have people who were not architects designing buildings, like builders and so on, and developers. But
Yeah.
now, I mean, other people who have some design talent, they also can become architects by just designing via Midjourney, and then hiring some architects to help them with actually building that building. So yeah, crazy world. But I want to ask this question: do you think that the tools that we're using, the AI tools that we're using, are limiting, in a way, our process that is one step before prompting, because as we discussed, that kind of narrative, that kind of research, that kind of the story behind the project is probably one or two steps before that, the beautiful image that you get at the end. But we don't have any tool in AI that can help us in that process in a way. So maybe that's why that we are seeing people just being so fascinated with the tool that they kind of like to turn things, objects into buildings and so on, and don't really maybe not uh, pay attention to that one step before process which is all about narrative and design philosophy. Do you think AI tools lack that kind of um, space where you as a designer could interact with an AI tool to really finesse your project narrative, finesse your choices of material, finesse your sort of qualities of spaces before really jumping into a beautiful image for your building? Do you think that's the case or not?
You mean like it's kind of limiting our let me say interaction or our personal let me say inputs inside to
Yeah,
the output of AI?
because at the moment all we've got is a series of tools that take our input as a prompt and give you a 2D image of a beautiful building or whatever. What I'm trying to make, the point that I'm trying to make is that maybe AI tools should have another step before that prompt that can help you to finesse your, your ideas for that project and not just for that beautiful building. I mean, the AI tools that we currently got, it's amazing for, architects and non-architects, but if you want to really specify architecture workflows and really try to create an AI tool that can help architects or like specific designers in fashion industry or like interior design, I guess you really want to help them with the process as well, rather than just give them a beautiful image. Because I think that's the currency of us, right? Like that's what we should use AI to help us with, to really finesse our philosophy for the building and our, yeah, there's so many other things that goes into that building.
Yes, I see. Actually, in that case, I mean, if we will have this kind of, let me say, parameters that we can add to a project to get the image, then AI might replace architects. I mean, like, imagine that, for example, if I can give, let's take Midjourney as an instance. If I can give Midjourney a plot and I specify the coordinates and specify the location and everything, and it will search in its database and it can create, and then I put the prompt and then it will create a building design specified for this plot in this place. So it made like, let me say 50 of the work. So let me say even 75. So in that case, they might really replace architects because they will study, when you are specifying the location, they are studying, okay, the context around, let me say the heritage, the culture of this place. So they made like a kind of all the research and the benchmarking and, all the references we do in let me say in days. It will do it in very quick, just seconds maybe. So it did the first part of researching, and when we are specifying, let me say, other parameters, it is just minimizing the time of what we spent when we are creating or designing a project. And then we are putting, or let me say, we are writing our prompt, what we see as a vision. Then it made, let me say, 75 with the work. What this is, let me say, for a design. And then, okay, the documentation and the coordination process comes. Maybe now they are very developing the AI tools that it might, produce some models that we can link it and it can just generate some sheets for us. So in that case, they might do 90% of the work. What is the 10% left is what we write in our prompt. And this might, in the future, the client, or let me say the contractor, can make it. They come and specify everything, all the parameters, and then the AI will be giving them let me say, the building design, then they might need an architect for some fine tuning or maybe for some enhancing. If an AI will be able to deal with all these parameters, then it will be, let me say architects will be in danger for some instance, actually.
So you're actually thinking that we're going to be replaced?
Actually, for lately, yes, because I'm seeing that there's so much developing in this industry. It was really nice at the beginning, and it was about expanding our imaginations and getting some very nice images. And but for if we think it, let me say rationally, in the future, maybe not the very fast one, late one, yeah, it will, we might be replaced. Because, for example, now, if not replaced 100%, but will be the number of architects will be really, really reduced dramatically. Because now, for example, yesterday I was, let me say, trying the Viras, the AI render for Revit. Okay, I did not get so much good results. Now, let me say, now today we are in 14th of July, 2023. But maybe after a couple of months, we can get very impressive AI renders, just like Midjourney. So in that case, we will not need any of our CG artists in the firm, for example, because we are creating our project in Revit and we can get the render, which is compatible with our models and design. And then we can just put it to our presentation. And this is for the CG artist. For an architect, it might be the same, for example. Just let me say our director can write and they can produce some masses and then they can render it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the fact that so many people who work in an architecture practice will be replaced because, yeah, a lot of people who are doing CGIs or they are drawing plans and sections and elevations or basically, yeah, not really designing. I think they will be in the first sort of line. They will be the first people in the line to get replaced. But what do you think about people who are actually directing the project? Because as an architect you are kind of playing a role of creative director as well. You kind of leading the creative direction of the project. And do you think that's going to also be replaced by of course, like I would see definitely that an AI could also direct the project, but um I wouldn't really like, as a client, I wouldn't really like to um outsource all of that process to an AI. I like to still probably have a human designer who can, use those tools. But I guess that human designer would not need 50 people working for them. So in that case, you would have a change in architects' role in a way that maybe architects don't operate the same way and they operate more efficiently without so many people working for them. And those people who are working on non-creative tasks and mundane, they would have to go and find something else to do. And to be honest with you, I'm not really sad about that because I always felt that me working in an architecture practice previously, I was doing a lot of model making, 3D modeling, and drawing plans and sections and elevations, and not really doing so much of creative tasks really. And that was something that doing design was something that I wanted to do all my life. And in university, I was trained to do it. But when I went to practice, I was not doing any design anymore. I was just doing like 3D modeling and drawing CAD plans and elevations. So I was questioning the role of people that study architecture and just end up doing these mundane sort of, they're needed sort of services, but they're not really, it's not something that these people studied for. And I really questions all the time. I always question that if these people should still be doing these jobs for the next 100 years. And my answer was no. Like, they will definitely change, and I didn't know how they will change their roles. But now I definitely know that AI is going to replace them. So that is how they're going to change. But how do you think these people will operate in the future? What kind of opportunities will open for them to practice design, or what they really like to do? Do you think that there will be an opportunity for them to be designers again, or do you think that they have to move on to do another mundane in another sort of industry? What do you think?
Okay, actually, very good points you have mentioned. But I think, let me say, okay, it will be reduced, not totally replaced, because at the end, I mean, like architects, it's not about only, as we say, producing images or maybe only drawings. We have to deal with all the other disciplines, structural, MEP, life safety, all these like coordinations. I mean, like a human should be doing it for now. Even now, for example, we have Navisworks, which is detecting all the clashes for all the beam models, for example. It is doing it, but at the end, like there is a person who's, let me say, an architect, and then the director who's reviewing a report from the Navisworks. AI, okay, it's more intelligent, let me say, but it's about reliability also comes. Do a client or contractor will be relying 100% on everything the AI will be giving them? This is the point. Like, well, a client will be wants when they want to, for example, make a very, let me say, luxury, or they want to do like a kind of a bank. How now we are working, for example, for a headquarter, will they be relying 100% on a machine? I don't think so, because they want to come and communicate their, let me say, requirements, what they want, what their vision, and maybe in the simplest thing, they want a human to be interacting with. Now we have very close example for this. Now we are doing a kind of an e-services branch, which is 100% no human, just you come into a bank branch without seeing any human inside. But at the end, they said, okay, then we had this idea to apply this to the other branches, like, for example, the ones that we called it the retail branch that you call to any bank branch, or the corporate branch, or something like this. They said no, because people, when they come to a bank, they want to see people. They don't want to see machines. So, I mean, let me say, this is my personal vision. For 20 to 50 years, we'll still see humans in these kind of jobs. But as we are now, if the evolution is also becoming now, maybe the next generations, they will be getting used to see robots in everywhere. And after 40 years, they will be used to see AI and robots in everywhere. After that, they will be finding it more reliable than humans. At that time, we might be replaced, let me say, as architects, as artists, as maybe doctors, because as you see now, even doctors are being, there is an AI doctors now who are very, reliable, very trustworthy. And they said that, I was reading an article, they are saying that one of the very first jobs will be replaced by AI are doctors, because their ratio of making mistakes is really very low compared to humans. And their database and pool is much bigger and larger than humans. So I think that what for the next generation, everything should be, let me say, architecture plus AI. They should be integrating it from now into their study, I think. So they maybe can develop softwares, or maybe they can know how to come now. If, for example, now the firm I'm working in, they are looking just for AI designers. They want the very professional ones in making AI images, like, Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or LookX AI. They want these people to come to the company, because they want to integrate these technologies and, save time and save efforts.
It's interesting you mentioned doctors, because my father is a doctor, and the other day I was showing him this app which is called Pi. It's an AI tool which has got like loads of investments from Bill Gates and Microsoft, $1.2 billion if I'm not mistaken. of investments. But the focus of this app is on ethics. So the key difference with ChatGPT is that this one is very conversational. So you cannot ask it to write an article for you. You cannot ask it to write your final draft for your dissertation or anything like that. It's something that converses with you, speaks with you, and kind of asks you questions and so on. So basically, I gave this app to my dad to talk to it and see how it goes. And he was in the beginning, he was asking him some silly questions to make sure this thing is intelligent enough. And then once he was sure that this is quite intelligent, he started to ask some medical questions. So he brought up some real cases of his patients that he was dealing at work, and he was asking this AI how this AI would propose like a treatment plan, and he would compare it with his own treatment plan. And he said that in almost 100% of time, the AI was super correct, and it was even like giving ideas that maybe not all doctors can think about. And you could specify like which, for example, protocol this sort of treatment plan should follow, like UK's protocol or United States protocol, like which country basically. And this would give you a precise answer of, in this book in UK, for example, NICE, there's a guideline called NICE in the UK, which is about, how to treat patients in different ways. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but basically he was referring to that guideline, and he was making treatment plans according to that specific guideline, which was like mind-blowing. And he was like speaking to this app for an hour. He was just like, yes, I now found another friend I can speak to about like medical things. But your point is very interesting. And I guess like you're saying, yes, you will see less of people, but I guess seeing people will be a luxury in the future. Maybe like wealthy people can afford hiring real architects and not AI. Maybe now AI is like a trendy thing. Maybe like wealthy people want to use AI to design things, but in the future, AI is going to be more affordable and more a convenient way for the majority of people to use. But human architects will be something that, I mean, even now architects are like a luxury service, to be honest. Like most people cannot afford architects, but I think in the future, I raised the point which I'm thinking it's a good point, because even now, as I say, like architects are like a luxury service. And I don't know if you know or not, only 2% of world's buildings are designed by architects. Like another 98% of total buildings in the world are built without any architects involvement. So there is a 98% market for AI to not replace, but like play a role in designing buildings. And there's only 2% that architects are like designing. And I guess like those 2% also is going to be replaced by AI, majority of them. And I guess architects will be maybe like 0.1%. The real architects will be maybe 0.1% of people. 0.1% of the buildings that gets designed basically by them. Is that something that you're thinking as well? Do you think that architects are going to be like a luxury, an even more luxury service providers in the future than AI, basically?
Oh, actually, I totally agree, because, as you said, it's a luxury service now, if we can call it, because only now rich people or people who can afford it, they can hire an architect. Even, for example, let me say interior designers. When someone gets a new home, They open some photos, on Pinterest, let me say, even before AI, and then they say, okay, I can do this by myself, or maybe they can bring the contractor, and the contractor, let me say, we are talking real life. We're not talking in our dreams, what happens, or what we have learned in universities. What we have learned is, there is a very big gap between the architectural education and between the architectural real life and built world, I didn't see this. I didn't notice this in other disciplines. Like people, let me say, my brother is a structural engineer, and what really he learns in university, they apply it in because it's kind of mathematics. But for us, what we have learned most of the time is something that is, let me say, not a dream, but it's something that is so much philosophical, something very nice, which is not affordable in most of the time in the real world. And I'm talking about, the GCC countries where there's a lot of money, where they spend a lot of money for buildings. And above that, clients reduces a lot from the budget. And what we see, as you said, is a very, very little number of the super, let me say, buildings from the super architects. So it's already now a luxury service, that we say. And we want people to trust architects more. When a contractor comes and let me say an architect asks for there is fees, they say that okay, we can replace them because we already have the experience of 15 or let me say 50 years we are in contracting and making buildings. We might not need an architect or architectural consultant. We need only their stamp for the municipality. So at the very, let me say, from 20 years, we are already being replaced. And now with AI, a contractor, they might not even think about hiring an architect. They think that, okay, I can do some nice images, and in the future, if they will be doing some kind of, let me say, paperwork, comment sheets, documentation, and construction documents, they will not think of hiring an architect. I might not be pessimistic, I'm a very optimistic person in general, but this is what I'm seeing from, the build world. We we need people to really trust that okay, hiring an architect, it's not about making only a nice building or a nice facade. It's about really when you come into a building and feel comfortable inside it and feel that you belong here. This is very important, and this is kind of something that I also studied, that between a generic architecture and the contextual architecture, when you go a building and feel that you belong here because it's, kind of make signing values for you, it's something from your tradition, and it's presented in a contemporary way, you would like to come again and visit this building. While some buildings which are generic ones, like if we say Zaha Hadid is a generic architect, you feel like her buildings can be placed in any place in the world. This is not about being negative or positive, which is correct or not, but it's about how you would like these people, the users, come and feel inside this building from inside and from the city as well. When you see, as we have earlier talked, and about a paper that is converted into a building, what is about in the city, what is representing for this, that we define cities by its architecture more than its flags. Maybe a lot of people, mistake in Australia flag, but nobody in the world doesn't know where Opera Sydney is. They all know it's in Australia. So it's a kind of identification for the cities. It's really way than just making some structures, let me say. So AI, if it will be, as we mentioned, can take some parameters of all these ones, which I think that maybe AI developers or maybe the students who would like to study architecture, they can integrate this with AI into their studies to make a building with these parameters. We can see maybe better architecture than the architects make, because we might, as doctors, skip something or forget about some parameter, but AI, since it's a machine, they have less errors than us. They might study all these parameters, and they might produce, in that case, buildings better than what we can do. Just a thought I had.
What do you think about what do you think is going to happen to the education in architecture? I mean, you briefly mentioned that, yes, I think we have to definitely integrate the use of AI in universities and all that. But how do you think? I mean, to me, it feels like there would be a more fundamental change of what we teach in university, because a lot of things will be just irrelevant, and I guess we have to replace it by something else. But what is that something else, in your opinion?
Actually, I think that professors and students should go more to, you know, architectural firms and see what happens there. Go with contractors, meet with the clients, and see what really happens in the real world, away from the philosophical side. It's very important to have this kind of philosophical and imaginative side in architecture, and this is a part which AI does. But they also need to see what is really happening. I mean, why do we see some really ugly architecture? I mean, what we see in the news or when we go to for tourism, the nice buildings. But when we go to the dark side of the cities, we really see very ugly architecture in most of the cities, even the most luxury ones. So why do we see these ones? Because of the lack of the good architectural knowledge and the lack of good knowledge, you know, in the society. So when like what the architect Alejandro Aravena does when he wanted to build a post-crisis village, he went to the people there and he met with all the society there and he said, you will design, just tell me what do you want. So he you know, like handled kind of daily meetings with this village people and listened for them. I think for the education, and these data can be then, you know, given to the AI and be trained for that. What people are really suffering from, what are their problems, these students can save this data and then the machine will be trained to, you know, resolve these problems. I think this is maybe kind of idealist thing, but if we can do it, then we are really getting use of this machine. It's not about, you know, in that case, we are not only having nice images, but we are really have nice, beneficial, usable images.
It's great
And
that
at
you
the
mentioned.
end, it will be an architecture.
Yeah, it's great that you mentioned Alejandro Aravena, because I feel like a lot of people like him cannot be replaced by AI, because AI is incapable of thinking about problem solving in particular sort of niche areas of a neighborhood, for example, that they have a particular problem. And I guess a lot of architecture is about problem solving. Like, how do you help the problems of that neighborhood, or how can you help the people who live there in that part of the world with spatial propositions, right? So that's something that we learn in university, to really think about how you could actually help that neighborhood to solve the challenges that they're facing every day. And that's what people like Alejandro Aravena or so many other architects like him do. And that is what machines, I cannot see machines really do, because they are trained on a data set of standard sort of data of generic architecture and that. Um, there is no room for problem solving in AI currently, unless like you build like an AI that can converse with you to really propose ideas and ask questions, and can be able to talk to people and so on. But at the moment, like, I don't see that sort of skill replaceable. Um, and that's I feel like that's something that we forgot as architects. Like, a lot of us practice architecture without even thinking of that side of, if you're proposing this building, how is it going to help this neighborhood, how is it going to help the people living there. And maybe that's why a lot of us can get replaced, because you're not really thinking about that. What do you think about architectural problem solving and AI?
Okay, next question. Actually, let me say, if we start from the, let me say, university life, what students spend the most of their time or project submission on? They spend it on the presentation and rendering. If now AI will be able to do this presentation and make very nice renders, then we will have more time for problem solving. We will be having more students, more architects to spend more time to make the optimized solution. And they will not be worried about making presentations and making nice renders because it will be like equal for everybody. AI will be, for example, for everybody, and it will be able to make nice renders for everyone. So now you, as an architect or as an architectural student, you have more time to use your, let me say, human brain to find a solution for this kind of a problem. So in this case, we will be reducing this time of spent for, making the final, let me say, booklet or final boards and everything. It will be saved and given more to the problem solving part and designing part. And I think this is exciting, you know, because when you are starting now a project, when you divide your time, now you will be having, let me say, 2 weeks for problem solving and 1 week for making this kind of presentation. Before it was just, believe me, most of the students, they were just opening Pinterest, copying some plans or something, or even architects, they go to their old archive, search for any project, and then they paste it and represent it in a new way. Now AI is coming and saying that they will be dealing this part, but you as a human find more solutions. And this is what the meaning of the AI assisted design, it's really becoming a very aiding tool when we are not be worried about the presentation and rendering and having high quality. Now we are be really more concerned about what making great architecture and real problem solving.
That's definitely a good answer to my question, because a lot of the times in architecture school, I had enough of this culture of, pretty drawings. Like, it didn't really help anyone, because you could trick everyone by just showing like a pretty drawing and pretend that your project is amazing, while inside the project there wasn't much going on, and you were trying to, a jargon about, what's going on inside the building, and with some pretty drawings you could convince the professors, and that seemed to be
Yes.
the kind of prominent culture in majority of good universities, even like, in
Yeah.
London I can see that's the case in many universities, that, the beautiful drawing, the nice drawing plays a huge role in how that student is perceived. Whereas when I've seen multiple examples of, those students with amazing awards and, sort of, recognitions come to practice and don't really know anything about, buildings and how building works, and, um, they just get pigeonholed into drawing amazing competition visuals, and they become a graphic designer or like a visualization artist rather than architect, because all they can do is to produce beautiful, quote unquote, beautiful drawings. And I'm quite happy that
Exactly.
AI can replace a lot of that, and can, I mean, it kind of democratizes that ability to produce pretty drawings, right? Like now everyone can produce pretty drawings. It's not only the people who have certain skills or they have certain, hardware, sort of, equipment that make them allow them to produce such drawings, and now everyone can produce them. And I guess the focus in architecture schools will be towards exactly how your building is working. Like how have you designed this building? Like what is the narrative? What is the philosophy? And how are you addressing the project budget? What the kind of realistic, um, points about the project, to make it viable? How are you like, solving this particular issue in the neighborhood? Um,
Yeah.
what do you think about that kind of, glorified, beautiful drawing culture in architecture schools?
Yes, actually, I wish really this comes to an end with AI. Even now for competitions, as you mentioned. I mean, like when there's a, let me say, international or national competition, who wins? The ones with the very most beautiful, let me say, and most impressive images. Let me say, for me, if I was a juror there, I would unify the all presentation theme, and for example a collage or this kind of render to be, and everyone should be presenting the same rendering theme, and what we focus on is the concept and the idea and the problem solved there. At that case, it will be fair enough for everyone, that they had the same opportunity to present the same thing, but with different solutions. At the end, the way there are really good solution wins. The same for these architectural students. But you know what? Also, when AI now comes and it's giving them, or let me say, giving us, even maybe not now, but in the very near future, will be giving us this opportunity. It will be really, let me say, more of fair for everyone. And also, sometimes AI understands me better than humans because AI really. For example, when we had, I remembered when we had some project submissions, and we had a very good CG artist in the office. But because of, let me say, the human factor, we have emotions and being in stress and pushing at the submission date. And architects all the time change, keep changing. So at the end of the day, for example, he's not able, to give us what we want. But AI, what you write, you get. This is what it's interesting also about it, that what you really want, because there will be this no kind of interaction or intersection, let me say. There's not going to be their human intersection, kind of ego or stress or something. They will be very professional, giving you what you want. This is what AI or this is what machine does in general. So we might need it, yes. Or actually, we are in the need for that. For when we will be, let me say, for the competitions, for architecture students, juries, and everything for that, it's going to be AI, let me say, let them take this part of visualizing and let humans do the human work.
Exactly. That's amazing. I love this conversation, and I have so many other questions. But it's always great to talk to you because it's just like very natural. Like I can just ask so many questions that I have in my mind, and you can like talk about it, and you are on the same page on a lot of topics, and it's brilliant. Is there anything you like to add? Is there anything you missed that you like to mention to those who are either afraid of AI or too excited about AI or trying to be magicians with AI, although studied design? Um, yeah, is there anything you'd like to tell them?
Actually, I would like that, accepting AI in our lives as in general, and as designers and architects, is going to be a matter of time. So never left behind. Just embrace this technology. Take it as an assistant for you more than, let me say, a competitor with you. Take it as an assistant for you. Take the advantage of it. Time saving. Expanding imagination. Just escaping from the real world for sometimes, bringing something new, searching for problem solving, for all these ones. It's now in our hands. I think I wish really this AI revolution had happened even before. Now it's time. It's happened. Just take it of it. Care. I mean, take advantage of it, and we have to believe that we are lucky enough to be in this time, because if if it was later, we will be, might not be, we will not be youth enough to get integrated into it. So now let all the students just learn it, but be careful to be authentic. Never, go and just start copying or be lazy. I was the first thing I'm afraid of. It will be directing, let me say, mostly students to be more lazy, because they will be getting very good or nice results in very, very less efforts. So just don't let this thing to take you off really doing what does really matter. If it's now time saving for you for making this visualizing part, you focus on studying what is really good architecture. Never, for example, left studying books or what great architects had done in the past, because philosophy never dies. And we all the time, in as humans, we are evolving all the times. Our problems are being evolving as well. So if we have an ethical mission as architects and designers, we have accepted for this when we wanted to be architects, that we want to make this life better, to make the buildable world better. And so don't let AI to just, let me say, distract you from this mission. Make AI your friend and take advantage of that to make this world a better place for all of us and for the next generation as well.
Amazing. Yes, authenticity is key, and owning your design workflow and process is key. Staying true yourself is key. Don't let AI take your agency as a designer. Try to reclaim, the kind of agency that you have, but also use AI to empower yourself and to really make yourself a better designer and a more efficient designer. So a lot of things that you can take advantage with AI, as you say. Don't get too excited or too fearful. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but at this point of time, as you're saying, AI can be great, huge help, and you can learn it to your advantage and you can use it to your advantage. And in the future, we'll see what will happen. But whatever
Exactly.
happens,
We can be.
yeah, go on. Sorry.
Sorry. I just want to say that we can be creative with our workflow. I mean, we can not to be traditional with that. You know, most of the artists now go for Midjourney and they just publish, let me say, on social media, where there are a lot of, other AI tools, and so we can be more creative with that. So we can, let me say, see what is really happening, let me say, for facade designing, for AI rendering, for, let me say, mood boards, all of this. So each architect or designer, they can be creative in their workflow. So we can see what are the alternatives around.
Yes, exactly. But the key everywhere is that you stay true to yourself, because whatever the machines do, it's important that you are you and you do you, and machine does machine.
Exactly.
So just always remember
Exactly.
that. Thank you so much, Alya, and it was a great conversation. And I was thinking to maybe do some lives with AI Hub Instagram account. It would be good to reach out to the audience we have in Instagram as well. So I might as well invite you for a live discussions with maybe a few other AI designers to talk about these issues. I think they're important to discuss, especially authenticity and the kind of the idea of fascination with machines versus being true to yourself and really explore what you have inside you and project it with AI. So we can do a lot of work there. I look forward to also maybe have you there as well. But to the audience, thanks for listening to us and or watching us on YouTube. You can access AI Hub's podcast on your favorite choice of podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even YouTube. You can watch it. And please do subscribe if you like the podcast, because that helps us to know that you like this podcast, so we continue. And also let us know if you have any comments and what you feel is going to happen in the future, and how AI is helping you currently in your day-to-day work.